social slime, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air, fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social side, they don't matter, genocide. Sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care. See their shit, force a bear, fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die, cause God forgives. Yeah! Coming back around again.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Game On right here on UCY.TV. It is June the 5th today, and we got some rain last night. Thank you very much for that. It was getting mighty dry around here, but so we got some rain. Hopefully we'll get some more this afternoon. The farmers are starting to have a heart attack around here. Waiting for some rain. Anyways, last night, just before we were done the show on Revolution Radio, I stuck some links into, or a link into, if I can find it here. Yeah. So I'm going to stick this in again, and it's this particular video is titled "World Leaders Attend Demonic Ritual at a Tunnel Ceremony in Switzerland." And I put this particular one in just because it had some commentary attached to it. There are all kinds of clips out there now. So I invite people to take a look at this. I'd be very interested in getting your thought processes on it. It's I normally am very shy at jumping on something everybody is pounding around on the internet. Usually when stories come out, I usually just sit on them for a bit, and a lot of them I just plain simply ignore, and a lot of them I'll do some serious background checking on it before I discuss it. That's one of my dislikes about the internet and the so-called truther movement, because too often in the past I've seen everybody jump on board, everybody interviewing particular people, and it's going from radio show to radio show to radio show. And when you look into the background, you find out the person is being interviewed is nothing but a damn player. And so I've always encouraged people to just sit back and wait and do some background information and some background checking before they start spewing off a bunch of stuff that may or may not be correct. This one, this one here, I saw it, looked at a bunch of the different videos, and then decided to punch this thing up. Now, one of the reasons that I was a little concerned about this particular video or series of videos is that the only videos I saw that I came across were videos that were had an RT label on it, and I'm not a big fan of RT, never have been. You know, Russian television, you know, and people are going, oh, you know, Putin's our friend. Putin ain't your freaking friend. Come on, people. So I was a little bit concerned about the RT logo being on the video. And so last night I did a little bit after the show, I did a little bit of looking around to see if I could find any other something mainstream. When I punched in, you know, satanic ritual or Swiss tunnel opening, you know, every alternative radio blog website had a story on it. So I couldn't find anything off the mainstream. So I looked around for a bit, and I found out of the BBC, if I can find it again here. So they posted it on the BBC, and one of the questions that was bothering me, and I got called on it last night, was that, you know, it says that these heads of state like Merkel and the president of France and Italy and that were at the at the tunnel opening. And so from the BBC, we have a bunch of information on the opening of it, and we have some priests there and rabbis by the look of it. Religious figures attended a blessing inside the tunnel on Wednesday. So I see a rabbi and I see a priest, a Catholic priest. I don't know what these other guys are exactly, but somebody will figure what they are. So we have pictures of Merkel and that. We have pictures of this, what looks rather strange, satanic, if you will, pictures. Now, it looks like a couple of these pictures have been taken down since, because this is a little bit different than what I looked at last night. Let me back it up one and see. No, that's the BBC. So they've removed several of the pictures since I looked at this last night, which is a little different. But anyways, they had the picture of the whatever it was, a kind of a man-woman thing with wings on it last night, but I don't see those pictures here today. But they did leave the priests in here, and the opening show was put together by leading German theater director Volker Hess. So I put the video in, so we'll throw the BBC story in here. So BBC, at least, it's weird that they took some of the pictures out of there. Maybe not. Maybe it's not weird they took some of the pictures out of there. But I got told, get that stuff the hell out of here. But anyways, it does say that Merkel was there, and I hate this stupid thing. I haven't had time to go find my freaking what do you call it? My password to get into the chat. So I got to keep using different names. Sometimes I just put it in there as anonymous. I'll have to get that sorted out. I haven't had time. So, anyways, that's something without the RT logo on it out of the BBC. It does say that Merkel and the French president and the Italian president and some other president, I guess Austria, I think it was, Prime Minister Austria, whatever they call the head of Austria, were all there. And so now you got priests and rabbis and all this kind of stuff. At this tunnel opening is extremely strange. A lot of people are very upset by these videos that come out of there. I'm not into the fear-mongering stuff, never have been, don't tend to go there. I'm sure there's lots of it going on. If somebody's putting up some absolute good information, so be it. I would like to see it. It was just a bunch of fear-mongering. I don't want anything to do with it. Not interested. But this is what apparently happened in Switzerland when they opened the tunnel. Now that tunnel, they come out at $17.5 billion. And Switzerland's only got a population. It's a very small country. It's only got a population around a little over 8 million. It's about twice the size of New Jersey. So it's not a very big country. And it seems like a hell of an expenditure, $7.5 billion, 1 billion being 1,000 million. So 8 billion would indebt the people $1 million apiece, every man, woman, and child would be indebted $1 million on this project, so running up to 16 million or 16 billion, and every man, woman, and child in the country seems to be indebted about $2 million for this tunnel. And I don't know how every man, woman, and child in Switzerland is supposed to pay back $2 million a head. Seems rather expensive. It doesn't seem that it's plausible that it's payable. So what's the point of these tunnels? Well, it would appear that these tunnels are the new trade routes. Okay, the new global trade routes. And I haven't had a chance to, I don't even remember what it's called now, the highway that's supposed to come from Mexico up to Winnipeg, Canada. If somebody remembers what that's called, please throw it in the chat. As far as I know, they're working on that highway now. And it would appear that all these tunnels and that are basically the new trade routes and the new transportation routes. And it gives the people, the countries, the opportunity to rewild, which is what they wish to do. The wilderness projects and that, to drive people off of the rural lands and along the rail lines or that highway, that transportation highway with a railway attached to it, in going from Mexico to Winnipeg, Canada, up through the States. And the idea of all of these things, as far as I can see, the Trans-Texas Corridor, okay, well, that's the Trans-Texas Corridor. I know they're building that in Texas, but the Trans-Pacific Highway, methinks, no, that ain't it either. I'll figure it out here during the show. This is the problem, okay? This is the plans, and I mean, I looked at this so many years ago. It's nuts. And now I can't remember the name of the damn highway. But it's the transportation corridors and the trade corridors, and they're going to push everybody out of the rural areas. I mean, that's the plan, the rewilding project. And we are going to be shoved in against these rail lines into high-density housing. And we're not... the Trans-Texas Corridor is the heart of the new freeway. Yeah, but that's that section of it, right? So the idea of that particular highway, from what I read years ago, is that the ships are not going to come to America. That might be it, the NAFTA superhighway. That could be it. But anyways, it's going to start in Mexico and it's going to run up through America. And it's another of the purposes is to kill our nation's borders. Now, instead of the stuff coming into the ports in America, at least on the west side, they're going to bring it in through Mexico. And whereas the rules, I think, is the Mexican drivers can run, I think, or they used to be able to run into America about 100 miles or something, and then they had to trade off the they had to change tractors to haul the trailers with American drivers. Well, the idea that's going to end, okay, because it's all about money. It's all about commerce. And the American drivers cost more than the Mexican drivers, so that they're going to allow them to run all the way up to Winnipeg, Canada. Okay, so there goes your trucking industry. But he gutted everything out in North America. Our manufacturing's been gutted out. Now your truck drivers are going to take a massive hit. And the immigrants coming in are going to obviously work for less than the American people, which just kills your middle class even more. But anyways, that's what the whole deal is about. And a lot of people have a problem with the idea of calling something satanic, and I don't personally. I'm a firm believer in a creator. I know I didn't come from a monkey. I don't care how you go about trying to explain that one. I ain't going there. So I'm left with a creator. And if, we go to the Bible side and look at it, there was nothing and it was created. And the creator had an uppity son of a bitch called Lucifer or whatever and give him the boot. Hit the road, Jack. And the story kind of goes that when Lucifer hit the ground here, Lucifer, the devil, Satan, whatever the hell you want to call him, kind of shakes his fist up in the air and says, yeah, you kicked me out of there. Watch this crap, Jack. I'm going to destroy your creation. I'm going to destroy your creation and your people. Now, if you go back to the signing of the crossroads, I can't remember what that guy's name is either, the blues player, standing at the crossroads. Sign here. I'll make you famous. And we see that today. Sign here. We can't do anything without signing here. Sign here. I'd like to buy this. Sign here. I'd like to do this. Sign here. Okay? Collection of signatures. Souls. Soul collection. And that's what's running. These are very, very evil people. The soldiers. The satanic soldiers. You got to be satanic, because how else could you go out and run all these wars and kill these hundreds of millions of innocent people if you weren't evil? How could that happen? You'd have to be evil. So evil's running the world. Now we need to kick it in the teeth, which we're going to do, come hell or high water. We're meant to win this, and we're going to win it. But we got to wake up a little bit more. We have to get in their faces, so to speak. And I don't think it's going to take a lot of violence to do it. It just takes the good people to stand up and say, I ain't signing nothing no more, and everything I did sign, I tracked it because I was deceived and I was warned not to be deceived. And now that I know I've been deceived, I can't be deceived any longer. So peace off, huh? That's how we take everything back. Plain and simple. So, anyways, give those. Look around on the internet. Take a look at some of these videos out there on this Swiss tunnel, and give yourself some thoughts on it, and do a little research on it, a little background. I know we know Geneva's in Switzerland, and we know the financial centers are. Some of the financial centers are in Switzerland, and that we know Switzerland claimed itself to be neutral during the war. The war is going on all around, but nobody ever dropped a bomb on Switzerland. Why is that exactly? You may want to take a look into that a little bit, and go from there. Give it some thought, and do some looking into it. Now, another part about Switzerland that where is that? Okay. With basic income gathers steam across Europe is a story. This is all part of the final takedown. Oh, this is a story I got to do some more work on. This guy here, I'd like everybody to do a little more looking into this guy. I'm going to throw this guy into he was the Minister of Finance, I believe it was, in Greece. I brought this up on another show not very long ago, and I haven't had a chance to go in anymore. A lot of people were putting this guy as some kind of a hero, but there was a huge problem because the interview that I saw was with Noam Chomsky, who is working for the globalists. So why is this guy bitching about the globalists doing an interview with Noam Chomsky? Doesn't make any damn sense at all. Well, it turns out this guy is pushing for the guaranteed income as well. What the hell is in there? Minister Yanis Varoufakis. Very intense guy, but pushing for the guaranteed income. Well, he was worried about the sovereignty of his nation, Greece, because of the overbearance of the financial systems. And then he turned around looking for a basic income, which is constructed by the very people he says he's against. So either he's a completely confused player or he's a player. He doesn't seem to understand, or he does understand, what the point of the guaranteed income is. And that makes him very dangerous. The fact is that he's speaking at all these universities and colleges, which are nothing more than incubation for the globalists. They set this stuff up, and the kids go to school, and the kids' minds are open, and these professors and that are set up as these wise men, and you need to listen to these guys and don't ask any questions. So the fact that this ex-Greek finance minister is running around all the universities should be a red light for anybody who gives a damn about freedom in their nation states. Like I've said a ton of times, if you study, you will notice that the guaranteed income, I mean, you just think about it. Everybody's going to get a guaranteed income. From where? Fairies? Where's this guaranteed income coming from? Now, what they do is they crush the societies. They increase the poverty rate immensely. They make it more and more difficult for people to survive. They gut out the middle class. Everybody's getting desperate. And then out of nowhere comes this magical savior called the guaranteed basic income. So now you don't even have to work. Well, ain't that great? You don't have to work. Now that would sell to a lot of people, because a lot of people are working 2-3 jobs just to try to keep a roof over their head. Now you're spewing this nonsense that you're going to bring out this basic guaranteed income. And now you don't have to work if you don't want to. You're guaranteed a roof over your head. You're guaranteed adequate water. You're guaranteed adequate electricity. You're guaranteed adequate health care. You're guaranteed adequate education, and so on and bloody so on and so on. From where? You know, you had all these people out running around with Occupy and Idle No More and all these stupid things, the Tea Parties, all this nonsense. And it was all nonsense. Reaction nonsense. And now you got all these people running around, oh, we want a guaranteed income, without any thought process going into it whatsoever. A free benefit, a benefit that we don't have to work anymore. Isn't this wonderful? Aren't these guys great? Without any thought whatsoever as to where is this thing coming from? Who's paying for this thing? Who's paying for this guaranteed basic income? Where's the money coming from? I guess it's starting to grow on trees. Must be. It's another global deception to take down the nation states. And the deal is on it. If you go watch George Hunt's video, in fact, I should dump that in there as well. And if you haven't seen that video, you can go pick it off at my blog, which is canadiantruths.wordpress.com. Just punch in George Hunt, you'll get it. And it discusses this in the video. It's about taking control of the wildlands. In other words, the resources. Our nations are giving up all of our resources to the suckers that started the world wars, the ones that are bombing out the East, the ones that created the United Nations, the ones that created all that's attached to the United Nations, which is just everything that has anything to do with anybody's life on the planet at this point. And the plan is extremely simple, and it's simple to understand. This is where your guaranteed basic income is going to come from. Everything that you own because you live there, that means you, whatever nation you live in, you own your portion of the resources of that nation. That's that simple. It's your nation. And your so-called governments, which are corporations, which say they serve the people, and you have to be completely incompetent not to see that the government, the so-called government, does not serve the people. The people serve the machine. They serve the corporation. You're surety for the debts of the corporation, for crying out loud. Where do you think the government is borrowing the money from? Who would lend anybody any money if there's nothing backing it? So you back the debt. Now, the ones that lend the money, just like Rothschild says, I don't give a damn who's running your country as long as I control the money. which they do. So anything that the globalists want to move forward gets moved forward, because otherwise they just starve out the so-called government. They don't give them any money, or they call in the loans. So your so-called government has been implementing the global agenda for way since before World War I, because they're bound to the international money masters. Now, if these were real people with spines that were representing you, they would tell these global money boys to shove off, get off our lands, take a hike. We're going to print our own money based on our resource base. And you would have a very wealthy nation that people would be willing to protect and defend. That's not what's happened. So now that these globalists have tallied up the global debt to 17 trillion or whatever the hell, there's 72 trillion, I think. It's some ridiculous number anyways. Yeah, America is 17 trillion in the whole. So the global debt is like 72, 76 trillion dollars. It's absolutely impossible to pay it back at compound interest. So what are we going to do? So they put all the people on the hook. They can't get out from under the debt. Your nation is completely controlled from outside. And I don't care what nation you're in, it's all the same damn thing. So let's move to the next stage. We're going to call the loans in. Well, we can't pay for them. We knew that. That's why we set the first system up. Now that we got you against the wall, what we're going to do is you're going to sign over all of your resources to us. Instead of signing your people over as surety, you're going to sign over all the resources of your nation. And then we at the global level will give some of it back, which is what the United Nations human rights nonsense is all about. Everyone has a right to adequate this, that, and the other thing. And the people that bankrupted your nations, your governments that bankrupted you, have bowed down one more time because they want to stay in power. They don't want to live in a little cubicle near a rail line. They want to live up the hill with the rich people. So they sell their souls. They do the bidding of the globalists and sell your ass out. So now that they have all the assets, and I've read the documents, that different nations will have a different expectation of adequate, because some nations are richer than others, and of course some are much poorer. And based on those assets will be what the adequate numbers are. Okay, but because they control it all, and it's their decision what is adequate and what is not, the richer nations will get coming out of the gates, will be offered a higher basic guaranteed income than someplace like Bangladesh. But because they control it, and the whole thing is about saving the planet, not the people, they will use man-made catastrophes and natural catastrophes to ratchet down what is adequate. So all you have is a global trust, and they hold everything. And people are out there saying they're going to vote for this or that. my understanding when America was founded that everybody in America was supposed to be part of the militia. Okay, the militia wasn't terrorists. The militia was mom and pa and the kids. That was the militia. There was nothing negative about the word militia. The militia was the standing army, the people's army, the army of the people to protect themselves, their assets, and their nations. And that's all been flipped upside down now over decades of unrelenting propaganda. So we got to get a big broom, and we got to sweep our halls of so-called government. They've got to be swept clean. We got to get these clowns out of there, from the local level to the top level. They got to get gone. And we as people, regardless of which nation you're in, we as the people must stand. We must take a pen. I don't want to use the word, but I'm going to. A collective pen of the people and void the debt, because the debt's not real. The state's not real. None of that stuff is real. It's abstract mind thoughts put on paper and sold to people as some sort of reality. There's nothing real about the state. The state is a fictional entity. Period. The federal notes are fictional money, which makes the debt fictional. So people are going, how are we going to pay it? You're not going to pay it off. You're going to take a frickin' pen and you're going to write void across it. Then you're going to run the suckers out. And then get back to nation building, rebuilding of the nation. You're going to start manufacturing your own goods. You have to put up a wall to the imports. Okay? That's why they have duties. You cannot, this is too simple to understand, folks. Way too simple to understand. You can't compete with $1 an hour. You can't have a life here at $1 an hour. So you have to put duties on the importers. You got to get a level playing field somehow. And your so-called governments ain't going to let it happen. Every single government I remember for so freaking long now, anybody that speaks of from a national standpoint gets labeled a Nazi. Like, give me a freaking break. You got to take it back. You're getting run over. We're all getting run over. I mentioned last night on the show that was broadcast here as well that London, Ontario, a city of about 500,000 people in southern Ontario, has Arabic written on the police cars. What's wrong with that picture? We're being run over, and who's running us over? Our so-called elected representatives, because they don't represent us. I don't know why people can't get that through their thick skulls. None of these people that are in so-called government represent the people, because it's an impossibility to do so. They cannot represent you. Even if they wanted to represent you, they can't represent you. They represent the state, and the state is a fiction. So they should all be jailed for fraud, because that's what they're involved in, massive fraud against the people. Everything they're connected to is a fraud. People work their tails off to get a down payment on a property. Oh, we bought a house. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You didn't buy a house. You didn't have any money. The money's fictional. The property's fictional. It's all about debt. It's all about enslaving people to enrich the money men, the globalists, the lawyers. Try buying anything without a lawyer. You know, try doing anything without a lawyer. They set themselves up. They wrote the law. You got to come through us. Phone up a government official and ask them something along the lines of, whatever. It doesn't matter. And guaranteed they're going to say, oh, well, you need to seek legal advice. Well, wait a minute. You're the government. I'm talking to you and I'm asking you a question. Well, we're not allowed to talk to you. I get this constantly from the government up here in Canada. It doesn't matter what level of government I'm talking to. As soon as you ask them a pertinent question, they'll go, oh, well, you need to seek legal advice. Why would I be seeking legal advice? I would have to pay for legal advice. You're the government. You're supposed to know what the hell's going on. You serve me. I don't serve you. Cough up the information. Oh, we're not allowed to do that. Go seek legal advice. So between the lawyers and the bankers, they got you corralled. So the house you thought you owned, you don't. The car you think you own, you don't. They just keep paying taxes on everything, which is the theft of your labor. I mean, these guys are laughing their asses off at us. How could they not be laughing at us? They sit in their boardrooms there and they scheme some garbage up. Then it goes through the legislature. Then it becomes so-called law. And then you're robbed some more. We like being robbed and beat up? Is that what it is? We enjoy it? I got just the most prolific caller on the planet calling in right now, and I enjoy every minute of it, so that's all good. He's probably going to yell at me or something, but that's okay. Christopher.
Hey, boss. You've got a good thread going again, as you did last night. I just want to stay in the background and chime in. Yeah, and just keep you politically correct.
I want to be politically correct. I strive to be politically correct. But I can't frickin' do it. If I could just be politically correct, my life would be so simple. Bah. You know, I'd have my pen out there and I'd be saying, can I sign there? Can I sign here? Please let me sign there. Well,
now that I've totally destroyed your train of thought and your discussion, I might as well just bring it up.
What?
I make issue with your show.
Thank you very much. I like that.
Yeah. Well,
I like to be challenged.
Here's the issue I have.
Oh, all right.
Everybody else has done anything and then gone by the wayside, has been criticized, demonized, and found to be a shill in some form or other. Now, what I challenge is for somebody to call in and put it on you the same way that it's been put on everybody else, and that hasn't happened yet.
What's that?
Well, there's been a few networks that have been in operation and then have fallen to the wayside. Now, I'm talking with the hardcore listeners here. We've had Orion, we've had Oracle, come and gone. When I was learning my the beginnings of my understanding of what's really going on in this world, I was very challenged as a child because we didn't have internet and you had to go to the library, and you learn such things as Project on Trotsky, for example. All right, so you get what they tell you, and so from my understanding is Trotsky was opposition to Lenin, and he ended up getting ice-picked by a Canadian because Lenin had him offed. And then you do some research, you can't get any further than what they tell you. You get on the internet now, and then you start to hear some truths that blow your mind, and that's the stage that I'm at right now. My mind has been blown by the fact of history in general. It's all been a lie, and it gets rather confusing.
Well, actually,
so
Chris, it was all set up, and none of it was a lie. It was all the truth. Okay, it's always been the truth.
And whose perspective?
No, everything you were taught in school was the truth. All of the research that you found on the internet was a lie. Okay, so we've just been pulling your leg all this time.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
That's what I thought.
I'm just kidding.
But, you know,
the fact is, get this. Now, is Dee around today in the chat? I don't know.
She was. I just said hi to her.
I want to now if you remember, if anybody knows who what's his name, Yuri Brezhnev, the guy that was supposed to be the guy from Russia.
Is he a Jew? Never mind.
You know who I'm talking about, anyways.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So he was talking about the takedown of any country, how they go about demoralizing it, and so on and so forth through relaxed social values and drugs and all the rest of it, and feminism and the gay movement and the feminist movement and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the guy was bang on. I mean, all you got to do is go look at it, and that's exactly what's happened. None of it was by accident. And so Dee sent me I want to go see if I can't find that right smartly. And I've never heard of these guys before, and maybe somebody has listened to their stuff before, and maybe they have some thought processes on this, but it's an outfit called Black Pigeon Speaks. Any ever heard of that before, Chris?
There's if there's a black guy that does YouTube videos, and his name is called Black Pigeon. If that's the gentleman you're speaking of, yeah, I am familiar.
What's your thoughts on this guy?
Well, I don't see a lot wrong. He's a black person that talks about black crime. And he's called Uncle Tom because of it. But in my personal opinion, I don't see anything that I can suggest would be wrong at this point with what he's trying to portray. He's just trying to clean up this society. He's trying to clean up the black...
well, I don't think we're talking about the same guy.
Okay, all right. Then we're totally an opposite conversation then.
Dee has explained to me she has a son that's getting on 30. And he gets
Black Pigeon.
He gets what's going on. I'm going to put this in the chat, but this guy. I'm going to have to look into more of his stuff here because he's talking about women destroying nations. Now Yuri Brezhnev kind of touched on that as well, and. I got this video about 10 minutes before it had to be on the air, so it's an 18-minute video. I just kind of banged through it really fast. Touches on some pretty good points that one can back up, and about liberalization and feminism and all this kind of stuff. And basically where it goes to, which I've been complaining for a long time, is that the men have been nutted. The men have been nutted. And I mean, look here in Canada, we've got I think the Premier of Quebec is a woman, or one of the high ups in the government in Quebec, We have a woman, female well, we have a dyke.
Makes it even worse, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you know, so then we've got.
And in the States, you've got women are going to be now drafted into the military.
Right. So,
equal rights, of course.
It's almost like these old B movies, you know, where the guys get on the spaceship and they land on a planet that's run by women, right? The men are completely subservient to the women.
Well, if you're kinky, that's kind of good, isn't it?
Well, if you like being subservient, I guess. But anyways, you know, we have a female premier in British Columbia. We have a female premier in Alberta. Where did all the boys go?
Well, we got a transgendered prime minister, don't we?
Well,
or at least he's a feminist.
He's a feminist, yeah, and so on and so forth. So that's what I'm saying. The guys have been nutted, and so the guy didn't sound black to me, but some of his titles here: "How Women Destroy Nations and Other Uncomfortable Truths," Part 2. I guess I have Part 1 here. The transgender normalizing mental illness. What else has he got here? The EU to social media banned free speech, included the Dalai Lama. Diversity destroys social cohesion in the West. The Brussels bombing, vibrant diversity, and why Trump can win. That would be interesting, because I still think Hillary's going to get this. Not that it matters.
They threw that in. I don't know if you read the news today. They threw that in that Hillary has a twofold lead in Trump now. All out of the blue. This just happened.
That's what I figured. They're going to have Bernie and Trump, and while that nonsense is going on, getting on into it, all of a sudden, out of the blue, out of nowhere, Hillary all of a sudden has this massive lead. Yeah, I didn't read that today, but that's exactly what I've been expecting to happen, because
it happened out of the blue, my friend.
Yeah, and so you know they're jacking up the right wingers. But they jacked him up. They tried to jack him up, you know, with the Tea Party, and they tried to jack him up with Ron Paul, and to see, I think, really just to test him, to see if this is the video from, what did I call that guy? What the hell was his name? Black Pigeon. I never heard of this guy before. I'm going to have to look into it.
I'll send you some. Maybe we are talking about two different people, but the one I know of, he talks about black on black crime a lot, and
I don't see any of that. This guy seems very intelligent. He's a guy.
Well, this guy is too.
Well, maybe it's the same guy. I don't know, but I'm going to go and I'm going to have to.
I'll call him.
I would love to have this guy on the show. There's a guy. I got to try and get a hold of him. He seems to be coming at things from a historical, deep thought process, and he's not just, you know, he seems to like he's really understanding what he's talking about. Now, you can always, there's two sides to every coin all the time, but he seems to have done his homework as to what's going on here. So, you know, take a boo at it and see what you think. He's got all kinds of videos out there. Yeah, and so anyways, back to Hillary real quick. You know, I watched the whole nonsense with Ron Paul. You knew Ron Paul wasn't going anywhere, but it was a test, I think, of the right wingers, so to speak. Black Pigeon Liza, what does that mean? In the chat here, I don't know. Black Pigeon Liza. No idea what that's supposed to mean. But anyway,
my computer's acting up on me, but I'm gonna send. I'll put something in the chat that I think
is he in
the man you're speaking of. If I can get down to find it, it's gonna take me a while, so we can, or you can carry on with what you're speaking of until I can get to it. And I'll just send it in the chat, and then everybody can tell us whether it's the same person or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to look into it. Like I said, I see that, D, that you sent me his profile page. I just haven't had a hell of a lot of time to look at all this stuff. But like I said, I did take a real quick bang through that one video that D sent me this morning, and it makes perfect sense. And so thank you, Steve Merch, for doing that. Dee's turned into a hell of a researcher too, as Kathy Hamilton. But see, again, who am I praising here? Who am I praising here? All right, who am I praising here again? I'm praising women. Okay, so there you go. There are women.
You feminist.
No. These are not feminists. Okay. Hey, these are boys. Okay, these are actually women.
Those are men. Because we have no men left.
Because the men have all been nutted. It's just sad. It's just really sad. And we got to get our stuff back together, guys. I mean, we got to quit looking for the heroes. Okay, we got to stop.
Throw some balls, kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got a set, like Ron Paul. Now we got Trump. Now these are being set up as tests to see if the so-called right actually have a set, right? And they proved after, Obama's done 2 terms. Okay, the so-called men haven't accomplished much over those 2 terms, right? Other than to worry about whether Obama, this is what really killed me, for years, Obama is he can't even be the president because he's not an American. Well, then go get him, boys. But you didn't go get him. You whine and bitch and complain, but you didn't go get him. Now you're waiting for your next hero. You put your money on Trump like you put your money on Ron Paul. I can't see any possibility of Trump winning. Okay, he just put out there as the pony. You guys put your money on that pony, but that pony ain't going to bring it home. If Hillary Clinton isn't president of the United States when this is done, I'll be absolutely amazed. For God's sakes, Trump funded the Clinton campaign. Now, how in the hell does he go from funding Clinton to being on the other side all of a sudden? How's that happen?
It's a bit creepy.
I mean, Trump is a narcissistic, put my name everywhere, businessman who's obviously tangled up big time with the money boys who pull the strings. The money boys could take Trump down in a flash. This guy may have a bunch of companies and that, but I'll tell you sure as hell he ain't flush. They could pull his plug overnight, and he'd be screwed. So, is Trump going to get in? I can't see it. I can't see it. Would it matter? I doubt it. Unless you're trying to start a civil war or something. This is not about right and left. This is not about politics. This is about where the hell did the men go? Where's the men?
Well, they are somewhat having that issue in Germany right now, and
actually, that video I put
for people not understanding what actually occurred with World War I and World War II, Germany was not our bad guys, as been suggested. but they've been beaten up so bad and genocided so bad that there's an invasion occurring there that is going to completely wipe out any white European aspect of that country if we all don't get together and straighten this mess out.
In that video that I put in from, what I call it, whatever that guy's name was.
Still trying to find it.
But the video...
Black Pigeon.
Yeah, Black
right?
Pigeon. In that video I put in there, it's actually got one of the top German females, again, standing at the podium addressing Merkel, I think it was, saying that Germany will be, the German people will be a minority in the not too distant future, and that's the way it's supposed to be, or something along that line, like it's normal. And this is a German woman saying this.
Got it.
Right? So,
no,
like
sorry,
I said,
I got it.
Yeah, but I said, like, the enemy is within the gates, okay? The enemy's not outside. The enemy is inside. Just like Cicero warned long time ago, okay? They wheeled the Trojan horses in. You didn't see them because they look the same, they speak the same, they sound the same as you do. So you don't notice them as the enemy. But they're inside the gates, and got to get them out of the gates. Got to get them out, or you're going down, period. You're going to go down if you don't get a hold of these people. Just go in there and grab them by the scruff of the frickin' neck and throw them in prison. That's pretty simple.
Who's bringing in the Muslims and Sharia law? Like, who is the culprit? The man behind the curtain of this happening? Is it the Muslims? Is the Mongol hordes invasion, or is somebody kind of like helping that occur?
Well, they helped occur it by bombing the snot out of them, and then using that excuse to build the anger. I mean, I was looking at the Muslims last night.
Well, who's doing it? Is it the United States?
It's globalists.
Is it Canada? Is it who's bombing the snot out of these Muslims to force them from their homes to come and invade our country?
The same guys that set up World War I, World War II. It's the money men, the lawyers, right?
Oh, the globalists.
The globalists sit down at the table, their little war table.
Ah, jeez.
You know what happened?
You, Ron.
What?
Well, you know, you could take that a step further. Who are the globalists? Here you go. I just sent that in chat. I hope it's right. If not, well, it's good. It's good looking at, anyways.
What is that
there? The Black Pigeon.
Okay. Is that the same?
The one that I know of.
Okay, that's
that's just something. That's just not anything on topic. It's just that's the website that, like a YouTube channel that I'm familiar with, and it's called TNN Raw or something, but his moniker is the Black Pigeon.
Yeah. But anyways,
so I don't know if that's correct or not. I just sent it in there, put it in there anyways.
Who's bringing in the Muslims? Well,
yes.
It's the very same people that brought you Agenda 21. It was the same people that brought you the drugs into your country. It's the same people that started the wars. It's the same people that screwed your education system. It's the same people that control your hospitals. It's the same people that control your universities. And they built a thing called the United Nations. And, I mean, if you go and look at who's...
Oh, that's the Rockefellers then. It's the Rockefellers. Oh, wait. No, they're the bitch boy for the Rothschilds. Okay.
The club.
Now we're getting down to something that we can talk about.
Let's call it the club, right?
The club, yeah.
Whatever.
Just so you don't go to jail, right?
It culminates at the United Nations because... they needed a place that they could pretend they're helping the planet, right? and helping the people. We care. We care. We care. We care. The only thing they care about is stealing everything you got and destroying your life. That's the only thing they care about. Everything that has ever come down the pipe came out of these guys. They sit there and they build these scenarios, right? Look at the change from even, I was born in the 50s, so I mean, look at the change from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s. I mean, just look at the changes. Where did all these changes come from in our society? Where did they come from? Was it a natural progress? No, it was a concocted progress. They decide where they're trying to take us to. They own all the media. They own all the money, right? They own the politicians, and they just...
Well, let's start calling it what it is then, Ron.
What did they say? All we need is a few who get the big program, basically, right? The directors of the show, I suppose you could call it, the producers of the show, and the directors of the show, and a bunch of useful idiots, we'll call those the actors, right?
That's right.
To implement.
That's absolutely correct. I get so frustrated with this bickering that goes on with very intelligent people that get the program, and they bicker amongst one another. I mean, it's the divide and conquer at an extreme level, and the big boys are sitting back and laughing at us and thinking, "You fucking idiots!" And I can say this because we're not on Revolution, we're on UC. But we continue to do it. We continue to do it. You bash me, I bash you. We're not getting together to deal with the big picture here.
It's divide and conquer, right?
Yes, constantly at every level, not just a little level, the big level. It's just constant.
It's at every level.
Yes.
Right? It's at every single level. I mean, they got the environment group fighting against what they call the anti-environment group, which are funded by the same people. You've got your this religion fighting against this religion, which is concocted and controlled by the same people. You've got your right-left, which is concocted and controlled by the same people. Over and over and over and over and over again. They've got so many deals going out there in the divide and conquer for every conclave of interest that's out there. You have a basic right and left paradigm going on, butting heads against each other. And these guys, I swear to God, these guys are all sitting on a yacht somewhere, drinking a really good glass of scotch, smoking a real good Havana, laughing their freaking asses off, and they're sitting there as they start to get a little juiced. As they start to get a little bit juiced on their good scotch or their coke they're snorting or whatever, one of them would be on the boat and say, "You know what, guys, I just came up with a new idea how we can screw these people some more." And they go, "What do you got?" And they laugh.
Gay marriage.
Why don't we put a bunch of females? Let's try it. Why don't we put a bunch of females in charge of the countries? And they laugh. Give me another drink, will you? I like it. Well, let's sit down. Let's figure out what this is going to cost, how we're going to do it, who's going to put the players. We need some more useful idiots for this. Good, done. Make some phone calls, done. Give me another drink. That's what's going on out there. It's been going on there like forever. And meanwhile, we're down here in the ditches fighting against each other.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
We'll try to stop that, eh?
Yes, I totally agree. You might not like me. People may not like you, but we're trying to get some truth out here. We're still trying to figure things out. I mean, they've spent centuries confusing us to this point, and we're trying to bring it back. And we're going to get it wrong sometimes, but just because we get it wrong once or twice, we can be stand corrected, and let's move forward to push back against what's been going on to us for.
We need to get past the point of I mean, all you really need is like break it down to a common denominator somewhere is all you need, right? And then go get it, right? I mean, they're going to keep changing things up, and they're going to keep moving the programs forward, and they'll pop out with new stuff, and this and that. Because see, when they sit down to make their plan up, they have a general plan. Okay, we want to get from here to there. That's the plan. Okay, we're here. We want to get there. Now, they know that some of the stuff they try is not going to work. Some of it will work. Some of it has to be rebranded and rebrought out. Like I understand they're trying to bring back the Occupy movement again as they rebrand that again, right? But this is what they do. They don't get hung up on extreme details, okay? They don't do that.
That's right.
They're just trying to find a way to get from A to B. Now, if they got to go this way for a while and then backtrack and come this way and then turn around and go that way and change this and get that way, the whole point is they keep moving towards their goal.
The ultimate goal, yes.
Right. And we are not doing any of that. What is our goal? Our goal should be able to get our nations back. That should be our goal. Our goal should be able to run anybody out that is trying to take our nations down. That should be our goal. Not complaining about right and left or this or that or the other thing. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense because they keep moving towards their goal while we're stuck in a quagmire, stuck in a quicksand kind of thing, wallowing around in the swamp. And they're walking right by us. And, if they get to their goal, again, it's not that they were brilliant. It's that we didn't do anything about it. Okay? They can't get to their goal unless
they're following a bloodline. They don't have to necessarily be intelligent.
No,
they're following bloodlines that have set the agenda centuries ago, and they grow up within that bloodline. So they don't have to be as intelligent as their forefathers. They've already got all the money. They got the template. They just run with it. And this is where they're starting to screw up because they're so interbred now. They're losing their own minds. So people are starting to awaken to that fact. But, well, hang on,
They are just playing off of our stupidity and our weakness.
Well, yeah, but
okay,
I mean, they're becoming so themselves.
They have in their heads that they are the family, so to speak. They control and run everything, and they have the right to do so. They believe they have that right, and we haven't challenged them to explain to them they don't have that right. That's the problem. We're the problem. We've allowed this to go on, okay, and that makes us the problem. There's so few of them. They can be disposed of instantly.
Go to work and pay your taxes and shut up.
Yeah, and this is the whole thing, when you bring certain things up, people go, well, you have to pay your tax. We all have to pay our taxes, and you go, why is that? Well, because that's just the way it is. No, there's no thought process involved in that. That's just them spewing the garbage that they were told, because they're afraid to challenge anything, right? In other words, no rock the boat, right?
Yeah.
And the controllers know this, right? So again, it's not their fault; it's our fault. The people got conned going into fake wars. Now, why would they do that? Right? Why would you do that? Well, propaganda, and they felt that that the people that were telling them there was a war going that were more intelligent than they are. When they're not, they're just better. They're just con men. Okay, con men will con you out of your pocket watch, and they'll con you out of your life, depending on the level of the con going on. And these guys are simply con men. They get you to believe something that isn't true, and then they take the booty.
Yeah. Tell a lie long enough, yeah. You know what I said scared me, but what really concerns me is when I was driving home from work one day when we had that false flag attack in Canada on our Parliament building, and that brave hero dove through the air, flipped 2 times in the air, and shot the gunman 20 times or something.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Well, I was driving home from work after that when they were bringing the so-called, I'm not even sure where he was buried or whether he was an actual man, but they were going down the 401, the Highway of Tears.
Uh-huh.
Is that what they call that? I think they call that now. The 401 is now the Highway of Heroes.
Right.
Yeah. So we were coming, and then traffic was backed up, and we saw all kinds of fire trucks and Canadian flags and people lining the bridge, which shows true patriotism for your country, because there is countries that don't do that, the Britain being one, but it was, the whole thing was a false flag, but what scares me even more is the people that were lining these bridges. Every bridge we came through on the way home from Gananoque to Kingston, which is about 25 minutes, that's what was going on. I mean, there was thousands of people on every freaking bridge waving the flag, patriotism for this fallen soldier, and I don't get it. I'm very concerned.
Looking at a lot of very.
I'm very concerned because we're so dumbed down. These people, you know, if you tell them like you're living a lie, you're not being patriotic to your country because you're following a false dichotomy. They turn around and shoot me. You know, I have nothing but enemies around me because I'm trying to.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, well, maybe.
You know, well, it's like when I was.
Give me $10, I might change my mind.
When I was at that candidates meeting, and I brought up a few things about David Suzuki, and what I did was it was really spooky because it was an all candidates meeting, so we have candidates from different parties. This is a provincial thing. And so we had the NDP and the Liberals and the Greens and the Conservatives and some independents and all that kind of stuff. And ran in the 2007 election, but not that one. And I brought up David Suzuki because one of the I think it was the incumbent or something was spewing off about how great David Suzuki is and everything, and I just couldn't take it. And I stood up and said a few things about David Suzuki. And I solidified the entire room. You know, it was really spooky because now, all of a sudden, all of the parties joined together to yell at me. And everybody in the audience turned to yell at me. So
then at that point, you only had one person to talk to.
Me. But no, it's the same as what you're talking about the bridge, right? These people, I mean,
blindly waving the flag. Yeah,
it gets a little spooky, but I just feel bad for those people.
And they'll defend it to the end. Like these guys will kill you.
No, they won't. No, they won't.
Well, they will try.
No, they won't. They are they're mentally empty. They have nothing there.
That's my point.
When I brought up David Suzuki, they know nothing about David Suzuki, right? They don't know who David Suzuki is. They don't know the background. All they know is what they're told to know about David Suzuki. He's a great Canadian. He cares about the environment. Yada yada yada. That's all they know.
Scientist, wasn't
they have no idea where he came from or what he stands for or anything else. But this is how dangerous propaganda is. And it doesn't matter if the ones trying to start the war is using the propaganda or the ones pushing the green movement are using the propaganda. Propaganda is extremely dangerous because people don't go check anything out, Right. If people went and if everybody in the room had done any research on David Suzuki at all, I would have got a totally different reaction. But all they show when they react like that is their total ignorance. Okay, and I'm not really that afraid of ignorant people. I'm not afraid of
people. Some get offended when you call them ignorant, but it's not a bad word.
Though.
It just says you're misinformed.
Well, I wouldn't use ignorant in that case. Okay. But I'm just here talking to you, so I can use whatever frickin' word I want. But
no, but ignorant. The word ignorant isn't a bad word.
I voiced the word here.
It's not insulting.
When I was standing there at the microphone,
lack of education. That's what it means, right?
It's not lack of education. No. These people are well educated. That's why they act the way they act. They're well educated. They're trained like dogs. They're well educated. They have no knowledge is the problem. Okay? Education and knowledge have got nothing to do with one another. Nothing. Education is a training process. And knowledge is something you must seek out yourself. So they just sit there in their ignorance, their educated ignorance, and get angry with you, right? And that has to be dealt with.
That ends the conversation. Once the anger builds, the conversation comes to an end because now you're fighting on your beliefs and your own.
Well, the idea is that they're trained so that they can't enter into an intelligent discussion. Okay.
Yes.
That's the problem. You say, well, listen, why don't we sit down and we'll give you some background. We'll have a discussion about this individual or whatever the subject might be, and we'll sit down and we'll have a nice open discussion, and I can possibly learn something from you, and possibly you can learn something from me, and that would make the conversation good for both of us. You can't get to that place with these people that are indoctrinated. Okay? You can't get there with them.
Can I interject on that? Like, I was a board member on the OEB, okay? Ontario Electricity Board.
The Ontario Energy Board?
Yes.
You were what?
They're the ones that oversee Ontario Hydro.
Right.
Okay. So I was asked to be a member of the board, and I did. Now they set perimeters before I got in. Okay, and I just did this just because I felt it was necessary to see what the inner workings are all about. Okay, they weren't open to discussion on what they were doing. They were only open to discussion on how they could improve public relations within the board. That's what my job was. Well, I lasted for 3 hours, and I quit. I got paid $175 for it, by the way. But I was not allowed to comment on a suggestion of this is a bunch of total bullshit, because you see they're part of the corporate government entity, and they oversee another corporate government entity.
Well,
and they wanted to know how we could make people happier, how we could hand out happier flyers, or shall we email people personally to make people feel happier about what we do, which is absolutely nothing but.
That happens.
Yeah.
Constantly. It's a template. Been to lots of meetings, spoke at lots of meetings. And, it is, they're there, you were there to help them build a propaganda program that they could sell to the people. And
absolutely.
Any variance from that would not be tolerated.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, it's
and I thought I was being brought in to straighten them out. give my opinion as to what's wrong with what they're doing. But no. We don't want that.
Your opinion.
What we want.
What we want is the opinion that we're looking for.
Exactly.
Okay, and any other opinion does not matter. That's the consensus crap. Okay, so now we have this consensus, but it's all phony, right? And that's how they drive their programs forward. That's how they drive their propaganda forward, right?
I digress.
Well, I mean,
the Ontario Energy Board is there to keep us safe from the big bad evil electrical company.
No, the OEB is there to set.
Well, they work together. I mean, I had people in from Ontario Hydro in there doing very good speakers, very well spoken people, and I'm thinking, what the fuck are you doing here? You're not even supposed to be here because we're supposed to be the safeguard against you. But they're in there selling their product. I mean, they all work together.
It's all
I don't know.
Completely connected, right?
Absolutely, 100%.
When you go read the emails.
General public doesn't know this.
When you go get the emails I got before the OEB was even set up. And that's way back in 2000. Or no, when was that? I guess the OEB was being set up at that time. Who's involved in this? The Enron lobbyists. Who else is involved in it? The politicians. Who else is involved in it? The consensus game that you were talking about. Who else is involved in it? The media. So they bring all of these characters together, and in meetings like you described, through those meetings, they decide how they're going to move forward with what they want to move forward. So they get the media on side, they get all parties on side, because they're all playing the same game. They're all attached to the same game, and then they move it forward. And who gets screwed? Oh, I don't know. You, me, the rest of the people. Who fills their pockets? The investors that set the thing up.
Well, you see, all you say is true, but you go even deeper into it, and you look at it at a personal level. Like I looked at everybody in that board meeting. It was rather boring, to be honest with you, but I look at them as individuals, and each of them would not have a job had it been not for the formation of the OEB. So they got a dog in the fight for their own survival. They're thinking, the hell with it. I know this is wrong, but if I don't toe the party line, I will be out of a job, and I don't know how to pound nails. So I'm going to sell this. I'm going to get a good pension. I don't give a fuck.
Well,
anybody.
The upper level.
So they're not even listening to their own language of what they're doing and the harm they're causing.
Well, of course,
because they don't care, because they're thinking of themselves.
I told you the meeting I went to down near Sarnia. It was there about stray voltage off of wind turbines. It was driving everybody nuts, and the farmers in particularly crazy, irritating their animals and everything. And when I got there. There was engineers that were putting on the meeting for the most part, because it had to do with the engineering of the lines. And, I had a nice chat with them before the meeting started, and they all agreed the thing's a complete and total fraud. Total fraud.
Yeah, but let's go collect your paycheck.
But, and I said, well, then what are we doing? Why don't you just stand up here and tell the people that it's a fraud, because the people that are here are being negatively impacted by the fraud, right? So why don't you just cut it clean and call it what it is, a fraud?
Well, that's what I thought my job was when I jumped on the board.
We're here to talk.
I thought that's why they wanted me.
No.
But the first thing I was told is don't talk about that. What we're trying to do is clean things up and make it more user friendly for the public. How do we design our website, and how do we make phone calls? Do we email? to make people understand how loving and caring that we are. This fucking isn't it for me, buddy. I don't
know. But it's the same problem, and this is systemic through the whole system. Is you have good people that understand the game, know it's a fraud, and like the engineers. I said, why don't you just call for what it is then? I mean, you're not. They all knew me in the wind deal when that was going on, right? I've been to so many meetings. I've talked to so many people. And everybody that was in any position didn't have a problem really saying that it was a fraud. And I said, so what the hell are you doing? Well, like the engineers, they were getting older. And I said, you worried about your pension and that. Is that correct? Well, yeah. So you're willing to stand here knowing it's a fraud. You just told me it's a fraud. You agree it's a fraud, but you're going to stand here and do this meeting of these farmers that are being run off their own land and shoot some nonsensical possible solutions to the problem that you knew was going to be a problem before it ever got started. Well, yeah. Well, you disgust me. You should disgust yourself.
Yep.
I mean, when the senior policy advisor for
it makes me ill physically
that it's a fraud. When the senior policy advisor for the Ministry of Energy tells me, I said, like, what's it like there? He says, well, as of late, this is early on in the wind scam. Says, as of late, all I can tell you is that an awful lot of seedy-looking characters were running in and out of these offices, right? The scammers. So, yeah, you've been scammed, people. You continue to be scammed. Our electricity rates here now, I think, what they call peak time, the normal time you would use electricity, like not in the middle of the night, is around getting on 18 cents a kilowatt. Before this green energy scam began, it was around 5 cents a kilowatt. So we're over 3 times. We're headed for 4 times the price that it was just a few years ago. Now, why is that? Well, you got to go back to Morris Strong. Isn't the only hope for the environment that industrialization a nation's collapse? Isn't our responsibility to help bring that about? Well, how are you going to bust a nation, make it uncompetitive? How are you going to do that? Grind the hydro rates up. Who's got really cheap hydro? China. We had 4 coal plants here in Ontario all shut down. At the same time, China built 500 of the damn things without scrubbers on them. So while you're over here in the West going, oh, we got to save the environment, all of your jobs went where? East. Where did your coal go? East. Why'd your coal go east? To fire the coal plants because it's the cheapest, most useful form of electricity that you can get your paws on, because you can actually make steel with coal. Try and make a windmill tower with windmill energy. You won't have any windmill towers. You can't make steel from the energy you get from a freaking windmill.
Well, how about solar panels?
Oh, that's even worse, eh?
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's sunny tomorrow. We get them batteries charged up again, asshole.
Well, what are solar panels made of? My understanding is a lot of coal.
Yeah, exactly. Where is everything that you're using in your country coming from? China. And what did they do? I mean, Australia is a perfect example. Australia shuts down their coal plants to save the planet, and then turns around and cuts a $60 billion 20-year deal with China to ship coal to China, the same coal the Australians are not allowed to use. How stupid can we possibly get?
We're not. We got to shut off our TVs. Simple as that.
I do have a TV. I got one TV left.
Well, shut it off.
No, I have it. I actually have it in a.
Except for hockey.
No. I have a TV sitting here in a wall unit. It's, I don't know, it's a 19-20-inch TV, and it's a black case TV with a screen on it, and it sits there and does nothing.
It's a living room ornament.
it's just a reminder, I guess, of how stupid I actually was, and how indoctrinated I was, and that the number of hours I spent wasted staring at the stupid thing. So it's just there as a reminder, I guess. But it hasn't been turned on in years and years.
Is it? I believe it is. Now I could, correct me if I'm wrong, because there's so much on the go here. I sometimes get my countries and my facts incorrect, and I don't do that on purpose or by design. I do it because I got a lot of shit on the go here. I'm still trying to keep a house on my,
I hear you. I'm doing the same thing, man.
But is it Switzerland? Is it Switzerland that was going full-blown green energy with wind power, and they just took like 10 steps back and said, whoa, the bus. Even though we want to rip people off as much as we can, it is impossible for us to continue doing what we're doing. We need to go back to coal.
Well, John Tory...
Now, was that Switzerland or Sweden? I believe it was Switzerland that said that.
I know Spain had that same problem. Everybody had the same problem, right? But
but this is the biggest producer of wind energy. They were the forerunners. They still sell the equipment to
Denmark.
Everybody else. Denmark. Thank you. Denmark. Yes, Denmark. That's it. You got it right there.
Yeah.
Yep. No. They can't live the facade anymore. They said no. You know what? It's just we're going to have a full blown revolution here if we continue down this path. We got to stop. We can't do this anymore.
Well, the
big
scam in Denmark was that Denmark was mostly running off of coal, but Denmark wasn't running off of Danish coal. Okay, what they were doing was they put up the windmills in Denmark and said, "Oh, look, renewable energy." But the problem with wind, we all knew way long ago, it don't work. Okay, because it's intermittent, and you can't make anything with it. If you can't make steel, you can't do. I mean, it's not power. Okay, power is something you can call on when you need it. The green energy is energy, but it's when it feels like it, and it's low grade energy. And so what they did was they were promoting Denmark. I studied this in deep detail. In fact, I did I gave a talk on it, and in that presentation I gave, the word from the heads of the energy in Denmark said it's a waste of money and it doesn't work. This was long before this was before they really started here in Ontario with windmills. So they already told them it was a fraud. But how? Well, look at all the windmills. Yeah, look at all the windmills. But where's the power coming from? The power was because what they did was they integrated the systems, right? Okay, so when wind was blowing, Denmark would use some of that energy, or if they had too much energy at the time because of the wind, it was being shifted off. The very same thing we're doing here in Ontario now. Okay,
no, we don't give it away. We don't give it away. We pay the United States to take our extra energy when we have too much.
Right.
This is how pathetic it's become.
And so it was either Sweden, Denmark, or Finland, Norway, or Sweden, one of them three countries, that basically ran on coal that was feeding back to Denmark to keep their system running, because they couldn't run it on wind. But this never came out in the media, right? Okay, so the whole thing was Scam City from the beginning. And Denmark is a very small country. It's only 5 million people, very tiny little country, and they couldn't run their system on wind. And then they turn around and tell everybody else that this is the way to go. It's not, never was. It's a scam, always was a scam, always will be a scam, and has cost our economies dearly, and therefore it's cost the people dearly, and we got to put a stop to it. So Now we're all into transit, Light Rabbit Transit, right? John Tory was over in China or somewhere, and I don't have the article in front of me right now, but he's calling us a backwater. And this is what they always do. Oh, look what they're doing in Germany with solar panels and windmills. I mean, that was a huge selling point. They had a guy over from Germany here. He died, thank you very much. His stupid ass. But he was running around with Suzuki and that, and we went to a meeting. We actually shut that meeting right completely down and made them guys get the hell out of there because we'd had enough of this bullshit lying. And so now John Tory goes over, and now he's calling Canada, or at least the Toronto region, a backwater compared to what's going on in the East. And, all they spew here is you can't build here, you can't do this, you can't do this. You've got all of this environmental nonsense that you can't do anything. And he goes over there as all of our people end up over in China as per plan. And he comes back and, oh, man, they're building light rail transit like a bitch and new highways. And wait a minute, over here you're telling us we don't need highways and we can't be building anything, but you go over there and all of a sudden you've changed your environmental tune completely. He's spewing off about they wanted to do something, so they just lopped the entire top off a mountain to do it. Well, wait a minute. When you come back here, the freaking drive shed with that environmental nonsense going on, right? So you're talking out, again, both sides of your mouth, right? And that's what's going on constantly here. And people got to wrap their minds around it. There is not a damn thing in North America, and I don't care where you live in North America, there is not one damn thing going on in your local area that is not pre-planned and coming to you, and it is designed to destroy you, period. Now, what are you going to do about it? That's the question. What are you going to do about it? Your forefathers would have been kicking some serious tail.
No, but
what are we doing about it?
Women are now our new politicians.
Well, if you watch that,
they have that nurturing instinct. Apparently.
Well, apparently they're all nuts. And I'm
not.
Well, I'm no.
The ones that are in office are.
Please don't.
I love Merkel. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen her smile.
When I see Merkel and I look at Hitler, I'm thinking, God, was he ever a pussy compared to Merkel, man? Merkel is evil times whatever. I mean, this is just one vicious ass woman who is bent and bound and determined to destroy her nation. But then what is the goal? The end of nation states. That is the goal. It's not just
funny, because these people in power that have sold their souls,
and that's what they've done.
They're doing it for a paycheck, like for the now.
They are narcissistic people who stroke each other and feel that they have some sort of entitlement the rest of us don't have. They feel they are the enlightened ones. They feel above everyone else. They are sick in the mind, and they are psychopaths, or you wouldn't do that to your people. They're sociopaths, which is basically pretty much the same thing. They pretend they care when in fact they don't care. They tell you not to bully when they bully. They tell you to show empathy when they don't. All of what they sell, the propaganda in the schools and that, is to be, to show empathy and that. And actually, when you look at empathy, if I can find that real quick, they're always pushing empathy. But when you look up the word in the etymology, it's not something you really want to be. And there's another word that I want people to understand. I'm sure I irritate people when I keep telling them they're not a human. Because you've been told that all your lives. You're a human. You're a human. We're all human beings. You're an animal. A primate is a high bishop, right? A church primate. of the first rank chief principal. Okay, that is from 1200. By 1876, now that's exactly when Darwin showed up in that neck of the woods. That's when they moved to ecology, right, which is what we suffer from today. So by 1876, a primate became an animal of the biological order, including monkeys and humans. Okay, so you have been what do you call it, rebranded from man to a human. Okay, and a human is an animal. And I keep spewing this off. If you look at the King James Bible, God, whoever you want that to be, created man and law.
Hue. The word hue is color.
Yeah, it's
color.
A shade. It's a shade of a man.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And
then man.
It's animal.
So when you go hue / man,
yeah,
you've got color of man.
Well,
not man.
It's the same as man.
Something that looks like, similar to, but not man.
Right. It's the same as mankind.
Same as legal and lawful.
It's kind of a man. It's a
Kinda.
type of man.
Yeah.
But it's similar to, like, but not, right? Anytime you add anything to a word, you screw with it, right? And that's what people have to understand. So you are being treated the way they treat animals, okay? So when they come in with this adequate attitude, they're talking about animal husbandry, okay? They have a responsibility to make sure that the animals have adequate food, of which they decide what that is, adequate water, which they decide how much that is.
I know.
Get it?
There's something that you've addressed many times, but yeah, it's the UN. We want to make sure that everybody has adequate.
Right, and they determine.
They decide. I love that. They decide what's adequate.
See, this particular class of animal called humans is interfering with, they say, with the natural cycle of the rest of the animals, and therefore the humans must be removed from the general animal habitat.
Won't we all just feel better when we die
don't hurt.
and just leave the earth to the animals?
Well, it's no different than anything else. They'll go up and they'll call the wolves, or they'll call the deer. When these people believe that they are God and they're playing God, that the natural cycles of take predator and prey move up and down according to climate, according to the severity of winters, and so on and so forth. But instead of that allowing itself to play itself out, these guys who want to play God will go in and say, oh, there's too many wolves, we'll have to cull them, or there's too many deer now, we'll have to cull them. And this is culling of the herd, basically. The depopulation program is there's too many human animals, and they're interfering with the other animals. Okay, so we're going to have to do something with that particular species of animal, which are the humans, and therefore we're going to move them out of the other animals' habitat and probably tag them so we can track them. Keep them contained in the cities, keep them contained so they don't roam freely in their own automobile, that they will be on light transit only, so that we will allow these animals to move within these parameters but nowhere else. That's what people got to get through their heads, okay? You have been classed as an animal, you are being treated as an animal. Now, empathy... Empathy.
Oh, God, you're bringing out the dictionary, aren't you?
Is, it's about, empathy is about feeling, right? Passion, state of emotion, pathos, feeling, see, pathos. A term of art appreciation that maintains appreciation depends on the viewer's ability to project his personality into the viewed object, okay? And everything that we're being run by is the arts. And that's why the liberal arts are so dangerous. But if we go to it's about psychology of the thought processes. Okay, so you're being psychologically screwed with. But when you go to empathy, it says from the assimilated form of an in plus pathos, right? Okay, and so you go, it says feeling, so you go to pathos, quality that arouses pity or sorrow, suffering, feeling, emotion, calamity, literally what befalls one. Okay, so that's what they're teaching the children in the schools and everybody else when they're saying you have to show empathy. You have to show that you're basically a beaten down piece of meat, okay, who is suffering, who is in grief and sorrow, to suffer, to endure. I suffer is what it says. I suffer, to suffer. This is what they're teaching the kids in the schools, not to stand up, to be a whoop-suffering animal, basically. Now, this is bad news because they're psychologically screwing with the kids. And that's got to stop. We don't have to show empathy. We got to show that we're strong of the mind and the spine, and we're not going to put up with this garbage no more. We're going to put up with this psychological twisting that's going on. That's what needs to happen. We got to get up off our asses, and we got to quit listening to these dickweeds.
Not a lot of men left in my neighborhood that I know of.
Look at. If they weaken these men, then the men can be strengthened. Now, I know there's a lot of women out there who are absolutely disgusted with what their fellow women are up to, the feminist part of it and that. And I have nothing wrong with a strong woman. I like strong women. I like
strong women support their men.
I like a strong dog, right? I like anything that is strong. Weakness, you're going to go down. Weakness, you're going to get run over. Okay? So, it took them a long time to bring these liberal arts women up to the top through, stroking their egos and telling them they're important and the guys are bad. It was the guys, there was a lot of that going on. The guys started all the wars. We can't have wars. If we're going to have peace, we're going to have women run the place, right? And so on and so forth. And this is all...
How's that working out with Merkel?
Well, all you got to do is look at look at how look at the lunacy that comes out of our premier here. Look at the wild-eyed looks this crazy bitch gives us, right? It's the same.
I know.
You set them two together.
Who voted for her? Do you know?
Nobody. Nobody. The vote doesn't matter. It's all pre-figured out who's going in.
Yeah.
When where was that the place that
does anybody in their right mind vote? And anybody in their right mind believe that she actually was voted in as a premier? In Germany, does anybody actually believe that Merkel was voted in by a public popularity? Come on.
Well, exactly.
We really got to get over this shit. And then just go smack people in the fucking head with a 2x4 or something. Just to, I don't know what we're going to do.
Something useful. But the fact is that we got to grow up. We got to come. I remember I was in court that one day and had the Crown getting kind of crazy. And when he turned around and he put his hands up in the air and he looked at the judge or whatever that guy was sitting on the bench and he goes, Your Honor, I've served this province in this area for 30 years or whatever, and we're all human. And I just looked at this jackass and I said, well, you be human if you want, my friend. Right? You want to be a stupid-ass animal, then
don't claim your trees.
Right? But do not include me in your your idea of what of being a human. I am not a human. I have never been a human, and I have no intentions of ever being a human. Right? So suck air, you twit. We just got to come to this deal. Either we're animals or we're men and women. Take a pick here. That's it. That's your choice.
No, listen, as much as I'm going to be hated for this, Ron, the bottom line is let's let the men grow some balls again and be men.
Well,
stand up to this.
This is what I keep saying.
And deal with it. You know,
we are.
I'm not saying guns. I'm just saying.
We don't need guns, right? I mean, this whole idea is ridiculous, right? And that goes to your grasshopper and ant thing. What the hell? All these ants didn't have guns. They had power in the numbers, and we just got to use that. We have the power. Why we don't think we have the power is beyond me, but we do have the power, and we have to strengthen our minds and strengthen our spines. Okay, our spines have been basically broken. Our minds have been weakened. And we've been put into a psychological spiritual war, or a spiritual psychological war, whichever one you want to put it. That's where we are. That's where we're going to fight from. And we have to overcome their psychology, and we have to strengthen our spirits, which will strengthen our mind and our spines, and then we'll move forward and get this cleaned up once and for all. And then we can get back to having normal lives, normal neighborhoods, kids that are not subjected to this nonsense that they're subjected to 24/7, be it on the TVs, on their computers, the vaccinations going into their arms. You know, if they get us to this point where we are accepting of this adequate nonsense, okay, the only way you're going to get adequate is if you submit to taking all the vaccinations they want to stuff into your arm. Okay, they want to get rid of cash completely, which they're doing. How many people actually get paid either a check in their hand or cash in their hand at the end of the week? 99, I would think, at least 90% of all payment now is electronic transfer payment. You never get to touch your earnings. Okay, now they have complete control over it. Once they get complete control over it, you're into the adequate. Okay, now you have a card that is giving you X amount of money per month for electricity, X amount for water, X amount for food. If you overdo that, by the middle of the month, say it's really cold, and you've used up your allotment for the month, you don't get more. You just suffer through till the next allotment comes. If you don't use all that's on the card, you try to save it, you can't save it. It goes back to zero at the end of the month and you start again. This is how they intend to run your lives, but then you're an animal. You'll get used to it.
Yeah.
We're not animals, and we're not going to allow ourselves to be treated as animals, and that's extremely problem. And exactly, if you watch The Planet of the Apes, I mean, it pretty well spells it out to you.
They're telling you something there, aren't they?
That is one spooky ass movie or series of movies.
They've come out with sequels.
Yeah, exactly. But
just to reinforce.
My wife had watched one, and it just spooks the hell out of her because they're telling you exactly what's cooking.
It's creepy as hell.
Yeah, it's very creepy. Back in the early 70s and through the mid 70s and that, they had so many freak movies that spelled it out exactly to what's going on. Okay, I mean, the last thing today is the boardroom scene in Network with Ned Beatty. Is what does he tell you? He tells you that the corporation is God and the companies are the government.
Ron, real quick. Hal Anthony's on at 3 for new listeners.
Oh, shit, yeah.
Listen to his program.
Yes. Hal's on deck. We apologize again. Hal, we got Yam. Everybody take care of back to Tuesday night. And thanks for Chris Paul. That was fun. Take care.